Italy, Whiteman. Avant 9e, l'arrêt court, numéro 14, batting 9th. Shortstop, number 14, Janet Burns. En position flex, lanceur numéro 17 in the flex position. Pitcher number 17, Sarah Groenewegen. Les substituts, the alternatives, numéro 4, number 4, Jenna Want. Numéro 8, number 8, Chrissy Boyd. Numéro 9, number 9, Katie Korstrom. Numéro 10, number 10, Brooke Melnichuk. Numéro 11, number 11, Natasha Limbani. Numéro 18, number 18, Dawn Goldrug. Numéro 22, number 22, Maddie McKinnon. Numéro 28, number 28, Nicholas Simpson. Numéro 99, number 99, Morgan Rackle. Déposé au bâton, Batgirl, Lauren, Team Canada. Voici l'équipe locale pour ce match. Here's the home team for this game. TC Colorado. Comme en première, Walter de centre, numéro 13. Batting first, center fielder number 13, Kaylee Wyckoff. Comme en deuxième, l'arrêt court, numéro 99. Batting second, shortstop number 99, Jess Oakland. Au troisième rang, votre de droite, numéro 17. Batting third, playing right field, number 17, Cassidy Pickering. Notre quatrième, joueur désigné numéro 14, batting fourth, designated player number 14, Reese Atwood. Notre cinquième, voiture de gauche, numéro 24, batting fifth, left fielder number 24, Lex Capillo. Au sixième rang, receveur numéro 22, batting sixth, catcher number 22, Katie Stewart. Au septième rang, joueur premier but numéro 20, batting seventh, playing first base, number 20, Harry Rhodey. Avant huitième, jouant deuxième but numéro 00, batting 8, playing second base, 00, Jackie Lees. Avant septième, jouant troisième but, numéro 7, batting 9, playing third base, number 7, Sarah Gordon. Lanceur partant, numéro 9 en position flex, in the flex position, starting pitcher number 9, Nadia Groff. Les substituts, the alternates, numéro 44, number 44, Gracie Flores. Numéro 2, number 2, Abby Larson. Numéro 23, number 23, Carlin Pickens. Numéro 77, number 77, Tegan Cavan. Numéro 11, number 11, Kirsten Deal. Numéro 19, number 19, Cassidy Kurt. Déposé au bâton, Batgirl, Maddie, TC Colorado. Les arbitres pour ce match, the umpires for this game. Omar at home plate, Laura McMillan. Au premier but at first base, Michael Garcia. Au deuxième but at second base, Chrissy Travers. Au troisième but at third base, Gregorio Carletti. Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez maintenant, s'il vous plaît, vous lever, retirez chapeaux et casquettes pour l'interprétation des hymnes nationaux du Canada et des États-Unis d'Amérique. Ladies and gentlemen, please now rise if you are able. Remove your hats and caps if you may for the national anthems of Canada and the United States of America. Thank you very much. Best of luck to both teams and have a great game.
Good evening, everyone. What an incredible 10 days. As we close the 2024 Canada Cup International Softball Championship, I think it's fair to say that we've enjoyed some great displays of softball. The teams and players from 12 nations have thrilled us this week. The support for this year's tournament has been nothing short of incredible. From our host families and sponsors to the amazing local community, we want to thank everyone for showing up to cheer on these exceptional athletes in what has been a tremendous display of athleticism and sportsmanship. Our congratulations go out to all 115 teams who competed in 517 games of this tournament. You have made your countries and member associations proud, both on and off the field. Congratulations go to the Cloverdale Fury 07, who won the Showcase Select Championship. The Showcase Gold Championship game is still on the diamond. The Futures Select Champions are the Ridge Meadows Pride 06. Congratulations. And the future Gold Championship game is still on the field. I would like to acknowledge the many government officials and sports dignitaries who have joined us here throughout the 10 days of the tournament for their support of youth sports. You have displayed how important this event and these athletes are to you. On behalf of the Tournament Organizing Committee, I would like to extend a special thank you to all of our incredible sponsors, to our sport partners, the World Baseball and Softball Confederation, Softball Canada, and Softball British Columbia. Thank you for your continued leadership in stewarding softball in this country. A special thank you to the City of Surrey for their ongoing support of this park and this tournament, helping us continue to establish Surrey as a place that values and embraces female youth sport. And thank you to our fantastic Parks and Rec crew for going above and beyond in the lead up and throughout this tournament. You guys rock. Thank you to our directors, to Roberto Perez Leon, our Director of Technical Operations, to Jackie Duggar, our liaison to Softball Canada, to Laura Balance, who is in charge of media and communications, and to Todd Walker, in charge of finance, for the volunteer hours that you put in all year long, and in the continued leadership and vision you display, speak positively of the future of the Canada Cup. A huge thank you to our organizing committee, to the 40 people that wear black shirts that organize our committees. You guys have been fantastic. You own it. Thank you. I thank the 650 red shirt volunteers at Sunnyside Park, Sullivan Park, Cloverdale Athletic Park, and here at Softball City, who have worked tirelessly to prepare and stage this tournament. From 5 o'clock in the morning until midnight, they are here doing their jobs, and they have been wonderful. It is with amazement and gratitude that all of us watch what you have done this week. Truly remarkable. I would like to thank the staff here at the Canadian Amateur Sports Society and the Canada Cup. You have taken our vision and made it come alive. Thank you to our General Manager, Carla Reed, to our Canada Cup Coordinator, Kim Proctor, to our Project Operations, Brian Aredas, to our Finance and Bookkeeper, Sherry Catherine, to our Project Coordinator, Jen Morris, to our Administrator, Georgia Reed, and to our Food and Beverage, our Restaurant Manager, Karina Araniba. Thank you. To another group, without whom this tournament would not have been possible, is our umpire team, the men and women who officiated this tournament with fairness and integrity. Over 100 of them this week. Thank you so much. The 2024 Canada Cup International Softball Championship is run by a not-for-profit organization with one goal in mind, and that is to promote and encourage young athletes to become involved in this sport by showcasing the world's elite and by providing a spotlight to the up-and-coming stars of tomorrow. You can guarantee we will see some of these young players compete at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympic Games in Oklahoma City. And we would like to wish all of the participating athletes good luck in the upcoming softball WBSC World Cup Championship later this month in Italy. That would be the players from Team Canada and Team Australia. This year, our organization undertook significant initiatives with our Super Kids program, which provides free multi-day sports camps and sports experience for at-risk, economically at-risk, or Indigenous children and youth. We are committed to providing a welcoming environment in which every child can participate and celebrate the unifying power of sport. Fundraising for this program is an ongoing focus of our society for years to come. Finally, we thank all of you, the spectators, for supporting youth and women's softball throughout the duration of our tournament. We are pleased here to announce that we have finalized the dates for the Canada Cup 2025. We will hope you join us here at Softball City from July 4th to 13, 2025, and July 7th to 13, 2025 for the women's tournament and the gold tournament. But now let's enjoy our sporting spectacle, the 2024 Canada Cup International Softball Championship final between Team Canada and the Triple Crown organization and Dave King, Triple TC Colorado. Play ball.
Voy para la sombrita mientras.
It's exactly what you would hope for. The two best teams vying for the Canada Cup title in the year 2024, and the records will tell you everything. The home team, the host, Canada, perfect 7-0, 5-0 in the round robin, playoff wins over both this Triple Crown Colorado team and Australia, propelled them right through the winner's bracket into this game. It's a bit of a different road for Triple Crown Colorado. They lost the game to Canada last night, 6-3, in a very exciting game, but bounced back today as they beat Mexico by a score of 10-0 in 4 innings. And Maddie Groff was the starting pitcher in that game, and she's the starting pitcher in this one. And we are underway in the championship final with Canadian leadoff batter Kelsey Harshman, the 26-year-old from Delta, British Columbia. She's 4 for 16 in the Canada Cup with 2 home runs and 3 runs batted in. And gets underneath it. Jess Oakland will leave it, and Kelsey Harshman is the benefactor. There's a bit of a misplay by Triple Crown Colorado. And Kelsey Harshman opens this title game with what will be scored officially as a double. As it was too deep for the shortstop, Oakland, and not deep enough for the left fielder, Alexis Papillo. And now it's CC Wong. And when these two teams met last night, she delivered the blow of blows. Canada trailed 3-1 against this group of college all-stars that David King puts together for this tournament every year. And CC Wong, in a 5-run inning, delivered a grand slam to give Canada a 6-3 lead. And that is how the game would end. She is a newcomer to the Canadian national women's team. 5 for 14, including that grand slam to win the game last night. In case you're joining us for the first time this week, she was named the most improved player by Softball America of every player that participates in NCAA Division I women's softball when she batted .470 at Wichita State. She's a first-team All-American and dealing with a second-teamer when she faces Maddie Groff. The catcher tonight is Katie Stewart. Ariana Roddy, Jackie Lease, Jess Oakland, and Sarah Gordon are the infielders. And Wong had a mighty cut at that pitch. Second best batting average. She had 21 multi-hit games. Here she's 5 for 14. And even in a game that she went hitless in the playoffs against Australia, as this is a mile in the air and makes it into row 3 and hope everybody's okay over there. She drew a very important walk in Canada's 4-3 9-inning victory over Australia in Canada's first playoff game on Friday. The 2-2 to Wong. And she lays off the rise from the product of Omaha, Nebraska, Maddie Groff, who was superb in the 4 innings that she worked in the 10-0 romp over Mexico in the semifinal game that lasted about an hour and 15 minutes. Wong on one hop, so Harshman has to wait, and Jackie Lease will help to record the first out of the game. Is just off the inside of the bat as CeCe Wong has a chat with Larissa Franklin. And Franklin with a big home run of her own in the 6-3 win over Triple Crown Colorado. She's a very impressive 11 for 24 is the 31-year-old from Maple Ridge and goes the other way. She had 2 hits in the game last night. In fact, Larissa's had a massive week. She has had 2 hits in 4 of Canada's 7 games that they've participated in. Franklin and Roddy ranges back to make a good play. Is it just for a fraction of a second? Looked like it might get over Ariana Roddy's head. I was quite surprised tonight when I think about the type of pitching staff of 5 that's been assembled by Triple Crown Colorado to see him not make a change. He just stays with the same pitcher who threw earlier today. Guess feeling like she's in a groove. She only worked 4 innings. And after giving up a bloop double, she's retired the next 2 batters. And here's Abbotsford's Callum Pilgrim. She's a head softball coach in the United States at Lindsey Wilson College and has become, in the last couple of years, a very, very important member of this Canadian national women's team, who, by the way, will leave tomorrow for Italy to continue to prepare for the World Cup, the World Championship that begins July 15th in Italy, an 8-team tournament. And they'll start against one of the best on planet Earth, the United States, in their first game. When you look at the team they're playing tonight, many, including myself, would consider this Triple Crown Colorado team almost a combination of what would be the United States national B and C teams. This group is loaded, and they'll have many of these players in years to come that wear the red, white, and blue. As Pilgrim towards Cassidy Pickering. So Canada starts well on the bloop double by Harshman, but then Groff settles in and retires the next 3. A difficult lineup to deal with. Triple Crown Colorado coming to bat in this title game of the 2024 Canada Cup. Great crowd for this title game on a very warm night. It's been a great week weather-wise here in Surrey at Softball City. But today, the warmest day of them all is Sarah Groenwagen, the Surrey product, the Canadian Olympic bronze medalist in 2021 and a member of Canada's national team going back for many years now. And here's the lineup that she'll face. And there are no easy outs 1 through 9 for Triple Crown Colorado, as they scored 3 runs in each of the first 3 innings on their way to a 10-0 romp. And in behind Sarah, behind the plate, the veteran catcher, Natalie Weidman, Pilgrim, Franklin, Kiana Jones. She's also from Surrey. In the infield, it's Mesmer, longtime national team shortstop, Leung Harshman, and Zoe Hicks. And there are our umpires. Laura McMillan behind home plate from Canada, Mikhail Garcia from Cuba, Chrissy Travers from Australia, and Gregorio Carletti at third. He hails from Italy. It's a world-class event and even reflected in tonight's championship final umpiring assignments. Is Kaylee Wickoff in her regular leadoff spot. She's 9 for 21 in this Canada Cup. She's from Katy, Texas, and leans in to Sarah Groenwagen's first pitch. Sarah really trying to find her form right now in this tournament. The 28-year-old has pitched 4 2/3, but she's given up 5 runs on 8 hits, struck out 8 and walked 1. Her most recent appearance was against Australia in the playoff 2 extra inning win here Friday night in another great game. Gave up 2 runs on 4 hits, struck out 4, did not walk anyone. As she deals with Wickoff, who batted .407 this year in college at Texas Tech for the Red Raiders and has brought that fine swinging stroke for a second straight year to the Canada Cup. She was part of the team that lost in the title game to Japan here in 2023, trying to change the fortune in 2024. And the changeup from Groenwagen finds the strike zone as she looks for a comfortable place to plant and then throw. Thought Sarah was in pretty good form going back to Canada's third place finish at the Pan Am Games late in the fall. And that takes a bite out of Kaylee Wickoff, who finds herself on base, hit by the pitch. And she will remain in the game and be okay. Jess Oakland was the Big Ten Player of the Year at the University of Minnesota. A powerful batter, leads the tournament in home runs with 5. She batted .452 at the University of Minnesota, which was the 5th best batting average in all NCAA Division I women's softball. So Wickoff with great speed, no one out at first. And you're not going to see a bunt here. First pitch popped in the air to Zoe Hicks, who had to deal with Kaylee Wickoff, who had nowhere to go. Had to stay on the bag, and there's a confidence building out anytime you retire. Jess Oakland. Dawn Bodrug already up warming for Canada, and she has been superb here this week. Oklahoma star Cassidy Pickering, who drove in all 3 Triple Crown Colorado runs in last night's 6-3 setback to Canada. She hit a solo homer and then gave Triple Crown a 3-1 lead later in the game with an RBI single. This is one of those players that just gives you the feeling when the moments are big, she can't get enough of them. All you have to do is go back to the Women's College World Series to feel that way. She hit 2 home runs in the 2 games in the best of 3 College World Series final versus the University of Texas. And she hails from Texas. She calls Humble, Texas home. And she fouls the Groenwagen pitch off of her foot. And Sarah continues to chart a path that she's comfortable with in the circle. These teams have been the class of the field. One team at 7-0, the other, Triple Crown Colorado, 7-1. And a ball and 2-strike pitch to Pickering, to Groenwagen. Leung, not quite in time to get the double play. But a fine reaction on a hard hit ball right back at Groenewegen. Sarah has always fielded her position very well and had to take a hit away from Pickering. And the dangerous Reese Atwood, who did drive in one of the 10 runs against Mexico earlier. She is a first-team All-American from Sandia, Texas, and at the University of Texas, where she put up video game numbers this year when it comes to driving in runs. She knocked in 90 of them. Has 3 so far in this Canada Cup. And in on the hands, good pitch from Groenewegen, who shakes her head in approval. And now wants a different ball to work with. No balls and 2 strikes. The Sandia, Texas product, Reese Atwood. She's once again in the designated player spot. She has done a lot of catching, and it's her second straight trip to the Canada Cup. I don't think it'll be very much longer before she represents the United States when it comes to best-on-best competitions. It might be one of the hardest teams in the world to make, the U.S. women's national softball team. I can only think of one more difficult to make, and it's the U.S. women's basketball team, who have not lost a game in best-on-best competition since a game at the 1992 Barcelona Olympics. That's the basketball team. A ball and 2 strikes to Reese Atwood. And the high rise is a good one, but fouled away by Atwood, who's 5 for 22 now in the tournament. Has a double, has homered, and 3 runs batted in. Canada looking to get out of the inning, and the changeup is up, and Pickering had a big jump. And for a second, Natalie Weidman thought about taking a shot at throwing her out, but elected to hold on to it. Atwood's best game was a round-robin affair against Australia when she was 3 for 4, and now the steal is on and no throw. Picked the perfect pitch, too. A changeup and no opportunity to get Cassidy Pickering. And like Canada, now Triple Crown Colorado has a runner in scoring position in the bottom of the inning as Sarah looks at her wristband. Full count to Reese Atwood. Will it stay in play? The answer is no. So a good battle brewing is a battle in the stands. Nobody needs to get hurt, either trying to catch those, which, trust me, is never really a good idea unless you have a glove on. And even at that, sometimes it's not a great idea. So Canada in the title game of this tournament for the first time in a number of years. They finished 4th last year. They finished in 5th. Didn't even make it to Championship Sunday in 2022. But here they are in the final. And it would take another truly outstanding performance to beat this team 2 times in the same event. That'll help. Sarah Groenwagen, when the change is that way, it's difficult to hit, even for some of the best in the world. Looking for our first run in the championship final of the Canada Cup.
Welcome to the 2024 Canada Cup, brought to you by the Canadian Amateur Sports Society. Our not-for-profit organization is dedicated to ensuring that every deserving child can fully enjoy multi-day sports camps without any limitations. Join us in making a difference. Sign up for these life-changing camps or become
Great crowd is filed in to Softball City for this championship final. Both teams second, but no farther in the first. And here's Boissevain, Manitoba product. First baseman Zoe Hicks to face Maddie Groff. And Groff, a left-hander. There are a couple on the U.S. staff, and Canada has a lot of excellent left-handed hitters, and that is too hot to handle for Jackie Lease. It was a rocket off the bat of Zoe Hicks, who was good in 2023 here, and another year of national team experience has benefited her. That's her 7th hit. And she had a key hit last night in a 5-run 6th inning. And now Grace Mesmer, who does bat from the right side. The 23-year-old from nearby Cloverdale is 7 for 21. Has a home run and 7 runs batted in. She was 0 for 4 against Triple Crown last night. Gordon to second for 1. Zoe Hicks on the takeout slide prevents the double play. Good turn by Jackie Lease from Newburgh, Indiana. Sarah Gordon takes care of the lead runner. And now Kiana Jones right here from Surrey. So many of the national team players from this area in British Columbia. And when you look at this facility and even the entire scope of the Canada Cup tournament, not just this division, but the 3 other divisions, great facilities in Canada, more friendly weather in terms of being able to play this sport much longer than in other places. And it makes a difference, a big difference. 2 strikes on Kiana Jones as Groff misses down and away with a changeup. Maddie Groff's earned run average this year at Southern Illinois, where she went 30-5, was 1.11. And the drop is a dandy. And there's 2 out in the top of the 2nd inning. Groff's first strikeout of the evening. And here's catcher Natalie Weidman. Natalie, far more known for her defensive expertise, spent a long time as the backup catcher behind the now head coach and one of the best catchers Canada has ever produced in Kaylee Rafter. Groff misses away. And the count 2-0 to number 2, Natalie Weidman, the 31-year-old from Mississauga, Ontario. She's been a member of this team for many years. Great team player. One of those glue people that every good team needs. And Groff falls behind, 3 balls and no strikes to Weidman. Does miss again. So Weidman walks on 4 straight pitches. And an opportunity for Janet Leung. She's also from Mississauga. She missed the first playoff game at a family wedding, but returned yesterday. 1 for 8. That one hit was a home run, a 2-run shot earlier in the week against the Philippines. Change up, back at Groff. And she handles it very well. Canada with a hit. They strand a couple. Triple Crown Colorado coming to bat at Softball City in Surrey.
Welcome to the 2024 Canada Cup, brought to you by the Canadian Amateur Sports Society. Our not-for-profit organization is dedicated to ensuring that every deserving child can fully enjoy multi-day sports camps without any limitations. Join us in making a difference. Sign up for these life-changing camps or become a sponsor today. Together, let's celebrate the unifying power of sport. Visit Canada.
Need all the shade you can get if you're sitting in a certain spot tonight. Glasses. And there's members of the team representing Hong Kong, China. They didn't have a great week on the diamond, but I hope they had a great experience in Canada. And they're still smiling, so that would suggest they probably have. There's a terrific look, 26 degrees, barely any wind, not a cloud in the sky here in South Surrey, where Sarah Groenwagen grew up. Member of the White Rock Renegades, their outstanding program, then had a All-American career at the University of Minnesota. Been a fixture with the national team for a number of years. She hit a batter, but then responded by retiring the next 3 and dealing with Alexis Papillo, the left fielder, who hit a huge 2-run home run in the first inning in the 10-0 semifinal win this afternoon over Mexico. And it really paved the way for the 10-0 rout of Mexico. A strike to Papillo. And the changeup misses high and out of the zone to even the count. Alexis is from Crystal Lake, Illinois. Batted .324 at the University of Northern Iowa. Now she's transferring to play at that great SEC conference. She'll play at Alabama in the 2024-25 season. And she'll be a lovely addition. In this tournament, after a couple of hits, she's now 8 for 17. 2 home runs, 8 runs batted in. As Groenwagen trying to keep this group off balance and falls behind 3 balls and a strike. Dawn Bodrug again up warming in the Canadian pen. Kaylee Rafter has really, and remember that Canada's getting ready too for the World Cup. So how you handle your pitching staff, in many ways, more about a plan as much as it is trying to win this title game. That's just the fact of the matter this year. And Groenwagen with a good rise ball at 3-1. Sarah was and has been very good for the national women's team for the better part now of 10 years. Change up and off the end of the bat. In fact, the first time I watched Sarah pitch was in the 2013 World Junior Women's, now the U18 World Cup as it's known officially by the World Baseball and Softball Confederation in Mississauga. And it was very evident then that she had a really bright future. And it wasn't much longer that she became a part of Team Canada. And Papillo is having herself a good day, whether it was against Mexico and now has a hit against Canada. She takes the pitch in the opposite direction. And they have a tendency to run for her when they can. You can do it once. And it's generally Abby Larson or Gracie Flores who receives the assignment. And it's going to be number 2, Abby Larson, who is actually a player that was developed by David King in the Triple Crown Colorado program. Katie Stewart, the catcher tonight. Star at the University of Texas, batting .348. 8 for 23, and she has no shortage of power. She's hit 2 grand slams at the Canada Cup and takes the rise ball up and out of the zone. This Triple Crown Colorado team will not play very much small ball. They can hit homers against you 1 through 9. In the air towards Kiana Jones. 1 away. And now, Ari Rhodey. Heard it both ways. Roddy and Rhodey. She's from Cranston, Rhode Island. Not exactly a softball hotbed, but she's a whale of a player. Change up and a strike to the Triple Crown Colorado first base player, who this week leads this team in batting average at .474. She's 9 for 19. Another changeup, but this one out of the zone. Among those 9 hits, 3 doubles, a triple, and 3 runs batted in. She played this year at the University of Charlotte. 1 on, 1 out, bottom of the second. And Groenwagen upstairs with the high rise. And missed. Be interesting to see how Kaylee Rafter handles her staff tonight. got great work out of 4 different pitchers. Newcomer to the national team, just made the team for the World Cup this week in Katie Korstrom. Then to Nicholas Simpson, who will not be part of the 16-player World Cup team. Brooke Melnichuk, who is making her national women's team debut in a big event this week, before Morgan Rackle came in to close it out with 2 great innings. And Roddy with a big cut and miss. As Groenewagons found herself in a lot of these 3-1 type counts. And now it's full one more time. Abby Larson runs well. She's the pinch runner at first. And Roddy had a quality hack at that pitch. Always enjoy the guessing game that goes on between pitcher, catcher, and batter. Groenewegen loves the change and is never afraid to throw it, but Triple Crown Colorado is fully aware. So let's see what another payoff pitch holds in store. It is the change, but it missed. And the first walk issued by Sarah Groenewegen. Jackie Lease from Newburgh, Indiana. Wears 00. Her batting average certainly does not reflect the numbers. She's batting .409. She's 9 for 22. And had 2 more hits earlier today in the semifinal win over Mexico. So Canada in a bit of a tough spot. You have to be careful. Lots of activity with the food trucks, the other diamonds. Always need to be aware when you're walking around at Softball City. It's early, but this already feels like a key half inning. There's the change for a strike. And now she works ahead on Jackie Lease. Lease batted .344 this year at Southern Illinois, where she was a teammate of starting pitcher Maddie Groff. And the change up again, but with no balls and 2 strikes, made sure she threw it somewhere where it could not be hit. Difficult for Natalie Weidman as the sun is really beaming in if you're looking in that direction. Ball and 2 strikes. Did she go? No swing. This lineup is taxing to deal with. There just is very little drop-off in so many ways, 1 through 9. And Sarah Groenewegen with arguably her best, certainly her most important pitch early in the game as she freezes Jackie Lease, who is likely looking for the change again. Instead, it's a low rise that finds the outside corner. And Sarah has her second strikeout of the evening and now deals with third baseman Sarah Gordon, who has struggled a little but hit a 3-run homer earlier today. Change up and ripped it foul. She sat all over that. Knew it was coming and whacked it, but foul. Gordon had a bit of a tough year. She transferred from the University of Louisville to the University of Georgia in that tough SEC conference. where she batted just over 200. She hit 379 at Louisville the year before. And you can tell in the playoffs she's started to swing it like she can. She's from Lexington, South Carolina. No balls and 2 strikes. 2 outs in this championship final, with a runner in scoring position. And Groenewegen 0-2 goes out of the zone with a rise. These are the kind of games where every situation, every pitch becomes more and more magnified, especially when the game is as tight as it is. That's what makes them great. Sarah Groenewegen. The best, even when maybe they're not completely at their best, seem to have a different dial switch. Sarah Groenewegen with 2 massive strikeouts to end the second. Top of the order, Kelsey Harshman. A professional hitter. That's how I always refer to her. World Cup qualifier last year in Italy, batted over 400. This tournament last year, 13 for 29. Pan Am Games in Santiago, Chile, over 400. She delivered a bloop double to start the game tonight. Her biggest hit was a solo home run to tie the game against Australia on Friday. Sarah Gordon, strong arm. And Maddie Groff, who's transferring from Southern Illinois to the University of Omaha for the upcoming season, is in her 7th inning of work today. And now there's some activity. My guess is this might be it for her. And boy, has this youngster delivered. A 1.1 ERA, as good as there was in NCAA Division I softball. Facing CeCe Wong, who in the hitting department was as good as it got, certainly average-wise. She grounded out to Jackie Lease at second. She's the designated player tonight. And just underneath the rise ball. They've mentioned it today, and we'll mention it again. If you see Carlin Pickens come into this game, you'll see a pitcher that throws as hard as anyone at 72, 73 miles an hour from 43 feet. Maddie Groff is usually in the 62 to 64. I think it's a little low as far as just where we've had to locate our radar gun here at Softball City after our original one, or at least Luciano of Softball Premier TV. It's not mine. It was smashed in its original location. Nonetheless, the point being, it doesn't really do her justice. It's a heavy ball. It's got great spin and movement. 3-2 to Wong. For a second, I thought it hit her, but it went off her bat. So a bit of a lucky break for Maddie Groff that time. CC Wong about to play in her first ever Women's World Championship, now known as the World Cup. And she had a good rip at that pitch, and the shake of the head, she knew it. And she's in conversation about the swing with her head coach, who never stops teaching. And that's what she was as a player, too, as the longtime national team catcher. She has a great mind for the game. And CC Wong has a terrific eye. You don't hit 470 at a high level without one. And that pitch she took was awfully close. So CC Wong, with one out, draws a walk. It's the second walk given up by Maddie Groff. And now center fielder Larissa Franklin, who popped up to first. Down the line, it's going to be fair. Wong's on her way to third in Canada. Larissa Franklin's 12th hit. It leads everyone here of the Canada Cup, and there's runners at first and third. Boy, has she had some tournament. One out. Canada trying to open the scoring in this championship final. Callum Pilgrim. She popped out to second to end the first. The high rise misses up, and she's able to lay off of it. She's 26 years old, from Abbotsford. Has 7 runs batted in so far in the Canada Cup. How she'd love number 8. She did have a key hit in the win over Triple Crown Colorado one night ago. And Groff misses outside. And now more of a hitter's count. Larissa Franklin has great speed over at first. If Canada wants to put on a running play in a first and third situation. And they do, and the base is stolen. As Katie Stewart, who has a terrific throwing arm, we've seen that not only behind home plate, but more so even at third base. That's where she's played the majority of the time, elects to hang on. Was that a ball or a strike? David King wants to know. Runners at second and third for Callum Pilgrim. She was 2 for 12 at the World Cup qualifier last summer. Had a triple and an RBI in a historic win for Canada at that event last year over Japan. And then she batted 4 for 10 at the Pan Am Games, helping Canada to a bronze medal. 3 balls and no strikes. I would think she will take this pitch. No, turned her loose. And it's a great idea. It is gone. Can't do much better with the green light. 3-0 pitch and drilled it. Callum Pilgrim opens up a 3-0 Canadian lead. And now it might be the end of the day for Maddie Groff. And that's the only mistake that she made in a key situation. Shut out Mexico for 4, shut out Canada for 2. And now we'll give way to the other one of 2 left-handers. They have 3. Cassidy Curd is one of the other 2, and Kirsten Deal. Callum Pilgrim has dealt the game's first blow. Back with more, and to tell you about Cassidy Curd in just a couple of seconds. Cassidy Curd hails from Port St. Lucie. She is in Florida. She's had 2 marvelous seasons at Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. A brilliant 7-inning round-robin performance versus Australia. Earlier in the week, gave up 1 run in that game, 3 hits, struck out 8, and walked 1. Callum Pilgrim's second home run of the tournament cashes in the first 3 runs. And here's Zoe Hicks, who has a base hit in the game tonight. And had a quality swing on Curd's first pitch. At Duke University this year, Cassidy Curd, 128 in the 3rd innings, a 1.31 earned run average. Her record was 13-4. That ERA was the 8th best in the NCAA. She helped her team to their first ever College Women's World Series appearance. Women's softball at Duke University, most of us, if you know anything about sports, understand that school is so synonymous with men's basketball. Well, it's about to become more synonymous with women's softball. Zoe Hicks stays out of the road. And can't do a game without telling Zoe's story. She's not only a member of the Canadian women's softball team, she's also a key member of the women's national baseball team. She'll play in 2 different World Cups this summer. Got underneath that to foul it out of play. And Hicks is the one player on the team from Manitoba. She's now 7 for 20 in this Canada Cup. Change up. Stayed fair. And there's 2 away. Couldn't have it roll down the line better if you're Triple Crown Colorado. As Ari Roddy steps on the bag for out number 2. Or did they change it? No, they changed the call. Foul. They changed it. So not quite as perfectly for that group. So the 0-2 pitch to Hicks in tight. Cassidy Curd always in the 66 to 68 range when I've watched her not only here. This is her 2nd straight Canada Cup, but playing at Duke University. Good location, moves it up and down, side to side, and Hicks, who's swinging it well. She had a key hit last night and has a hit tonight. Canada up 3-0 on the Callum Pilgrim 3-run home run. Two balls and two strikes to Zoe Hicks. And you can generally tell when a batter is locked in. She looks locked in to me. How did the tournament start for her? Well, it started in a game Monday afternoon against New Zealand. She came up with the bases loaded. Her first pitch, kaboom, was a grand slam to center field. And having herself another good at-bat as Cassidy Curd has entered the game in place of the starter, Maddie Groff, who gave up 4 hits, including the 3-run blast off the bat of Callum Pilgrim. And these are the type of at-bats that even if you go out, go a long way for the work that is done against the opposing pitcher. Now, David King has a lot of options, and very good ones, including all-world SEC first-team pitcher in Carlin Pickens. But he wants the lefties against a pretty predominant lineup, and Zoe Hicks just won that at-bat. She would refuse to lose it. And she is an intense, competitive, energy-filled player. So when it looked for a second like she'd grounded out, got a favorable call, and now occupies first base. She's 2 for 2, and Grace Mesmer in search of her first hit of the game. Had a solid year at Oregon State, her 4th. Has become the starting third baseman, and I've appreciated her work over there as much as what she's done at home plate, and that's been very, very good. Playing in place of the longtime Canadian third baseman Emma Ensminger, who's a firefighter, and elected this year to take a year off because in this sport, and like all of us, you have to pay bills. And Cassidy Curd, ball and 2 strikes to Grace Mesmer. She reached on a fielder's choice her first time up tonight. And the drop ball did not miss by a whole bunch. 2-2 to Mesmer. She's 7 for 22 in the Canada Cup. Lease could be 2. And Zoe Hicks with a fine takeout slide to prevent the double play. Those are the kind of things that don't show up in a scorebook, but they make a difference. And Kiana Jones, who has homered a couple of times, over the head of Katie Stewart as one gets away from Cassidy Curd. And the good news where that is concerned is it allows Grace Mesmer to make her way into scoring position. Canada on a 3-run blast by Callum Pilgrim has taken the lead. And it's thrown away by Cassidy Curd. And Mesmer will score. A little nonchalant for Cassidy. And Canada adds to their advantage. Look pretty routine. And it's a warm night, and you wonder maybe the perspiration on her hand, it just certainly wasn't gripped the way she wanted it to be. So an error to the pitcher, and Canada's lead is 4. And the third left-hander, Kirsten Deal, another Oklahoma Sooner, up and now warming. And a strike as Curd comes back. Took over from Maddie Groff, who gave up the 3-run home run. It was really her only big blemish of the entire tournament. Weidman tried a surprise bunt for a base hit, but didn't quite work out. Ball and 2 strikes to catcher Natalie Weidman. As Canada has connected and struck 4 times. But against this Triple Crown Colorado team, you never feel like you have enough. So Curd in disgust with a strikeout, upsetted herself for throwing a ball away that allowed Canada to add to their lead. A Callum Pilgrim blow, the big one. Colorado with lots of at-bats, though, left as they trail by 4. Sarah Groenwagen has given up just 1 hit. She's been able to get out of a couple of jams. And set to begin the 3rd inning against leadoff batter Kaylee Wickoff, who was hit by a Groenwagen pitch in the bottom of the 1st. Canada has broken open with 4 runs, 3 of them as they continue to make hay in this tournament with the long ball. No balls, 1 strike. As Groenwagen starts Wickoff off with a changeup. Bunt, and it's excellent. Not in time. Natalie Weidman did as well as any catcher could. But the bunt was just too good, and the way that she runs And just what you're looking for when you trail by 4. The leadoff batter. And the powerful Jess Oakland at the plate. And it gets away from Weidman. Now, as is always the case, you'd love to throw up a 0 after you score in an inning. Oakland has 5 home runs and 12 runs batted in. She popped out to Zoe Hicks back in the first. This is a team where, as I mentioned earlier, you never feel comfortable. Too many weapons. But what you need to stay away from is what you just put forward, a big inning. And there's a pitch on the inner part of the plate. And Sarah thought she had a strike. Instead, it's 3 balls. Now, Canadian head coach turned Callum Pilgrim loose at 3-0, and she deposited a home run over the left field fence. Jess Oakland probably has the green light here herself. Called strike. Her father, Mike, played for the Colorado Rockies in their major league system and now is a high school coach. So good bloodlines in the Oakland family. And Weidman keeps it in front of her. Two on, nobody out. Dawn Bodrug warming. Have we seen the last of Sarah Groenwegen? Or is she going to get another hitter? We have seen the last. As Groenwegen gives Canada a couple of quality innings tonight before the bunt base hit. And then the walk. And Bodrug, I think, is starting to assert herself as maybe not number 1. This is a staff with Morgan Rackle, and she'll start to work now. Not a lot to separate the top 3 Canadians when everybody is at the top of their game. And they're all different, which is also very helpful in the pitching world. Bodrug, the hardest thrower, has a great rise ball. And in the tournament, she's been at her best. She was fabulous in relief against Australia in the 9-inning win Friday in playoff game number 1. She's 24 years old. From Georgetown, Ontario. She's 2-0 in the tournament, pitched 9 1/3, given up 1 run, 5 hits, struck out 16. Her most impressive work was 3 1/3 against Australia. Friday night, gave up no runs on 1 hit, struck out 5. And she comes in a very critical situation. And when you're preparing for an upcoming World Cup, these are the kind of teams that you're going to face virtually every single day in Italy. Japan and the United States, those two in a bit of a class of their own generally. But Canada really feels like if they perform well and pitch really well, that they can absolutely contend for a medal and maybe upset one of those two big countries in this sport. Cassidy Pickering reached on a fielder's choice, then stole a base. As Bodrug, a first pitch ball. She takes a look at the wristband. Canada wants an out or two. And there's a strike. I thought. I don't think either pitching staff is getting a whole lot in the zone tonight. 2 balls and no strikes to University of Oklahoma star Cassidy Pickering, who batted .389 there. Harshman avoids the runner, and there is out number 1. And now the designated player, Reese Atwood. Always terrifying for opposing teams. But the hottest batter right now is in the on-deck circle in Alexis Papillo, at least today. Critical moment. Canada struck for 4, but doesn't feel comfortable. And it can't against this lineup. It won't. Hicks gives it a try, but Canada has really worked pretty well against Reese Atwood up and in. You can't leave one. And you have a base open. It's all about staying away from a big inning, especially when you're up by 4. See what Canada does with their infield. Harshman's actually in pretty tight. A little surprising with a 4-0 lead. In this case, I might be willing to give up a run for an out. Janet Leung is at regular depth at shortstop. Harshman's in right on the baseline. 2-2 to Reese Atwood. Sarah Groenwegen struck her out with a terrific changeup to end the bottom of the first. In on the hands, where they like to work, up and in. Batted over 400 at the University of Texas, drove in a ridiculous 90 runs. She'd love a couple right here to get her team back in this championship final. And Bodrug goes away, but missed. And the count to Reese Atwood is full. You love the games where every pitch matters. We're in one tonight. On the ground to Harshman. Shovels in time. And Wyckoff stayed where she was at third. Might have scored if she made the decision, would have, on contact. But she wasn't going anywhere on contact. And there's 2 outs. And red-hot Alexis Papillo, who is 3 for her last 3 today. 2 for 2 with a 3-run homer against Mexico and delivered a single in the last inning. Wyckoff and Oakland are the base runners at third and second, respectively, as Dawn Bodrug tries to work out of a big-time jam in her first inning of relief. And that's her best pitch, the rise. She has really continued to develop her game. Two balls to Alexis Papillo and the way she's swinging it, but again, then you're going to get Katie Stewart next. So pick your poison. And Papillo had a good rip at it, but fouled it. And Mesmer will look to track it down. Where Morgan Rackle is up and throwing. She was excellent last night and gave Canada 4 excellent innings to start in their 4-3 2 extra inning win over Australia on Friday night. 2 balls and a strike. Check swing, but it's foul. Alexis Papillo hit .324 with 19 home runs at the University of Charlotte. Or make that the University of Northern Iowa. Dawn Bodrug with a big pitch. Canada out of a big jam and continue to lead by 4 in the championship game of the Canada Cup. Pitching change, and here is as hard a thrower as there is in the women's game. University of Tennessee star Carlin Pickens, who has certainly registered well over 70. In fact, she's hit 74 a couple of times. Comes in with her team trailing 4-0 in the top of the 4th, which is about to begin. Canada 4 runs, 5 hits. The big blow, a 3-run Callum Pilgrim home run on a 3-0 pitch where she got the green light and didn't miss. Janet Leung to lead it off against Pickens. And from 43 feet, and she goes about 6'1", probably closer to 34 feet by the time it leaves her hand. Knew we'd see Pickens tonight at some point. Thought it might have been to start the game, but it was not. She gets it on the plate in a hurry. Canada 4, Triple Crown, Colorado, no score. And Leung way behind it. It's an adjustment. But it's great preparation for what you're about to face. And Canada plays the United States, the national team, in their first game in Italy on July the 15th. 2 strikes from Carlin Pickens. And misses down with a drop on our speed rater, 70 miles an hour. She's from Weaverville, North Carolina. This is her 11th inning of work. Pitched 10 2/3, no runs, 6 hits, struck out 18 this week. Leung on a grounder to Jackie Lease. And she can't squeeze it. So Canada already taking advantage of one huge error by the last pitcher, Cassidy Curd. And Janet Leung reaches on the error. Second error of the game for Triple Crown Colorado. And now Harshman. And Kaylee Rafter has her lineup card out. She's going to run for Janet Leung. And she'll do so with youngster Kristen Boyd from Carbon, Alberta. So I hope that's not an indication. Janet missed the game on Friday. I was told that it was a wedding kind of situation. Now I think, you know what these situations are like. Even people that generally will give you the goods. Doesn't seem like something that would be done in a different situation, but I'll never know. Kelsey Harshman, a bleep double, and grounded out to Jackie Lease her last time up. Canada with a 4-0 lead. Callum Pilgrim, a 3-run shot on a 3-0 pitch off Maddie Groff. And Gregorio Carletti from Italy at third says no swing. And no luck to bunt, and not a surprise. And she was all over that pitch at 72. Just missed it. Two balls and 2 strikes is the hard-throwing Pickens, who had 225 strikeouts this year at the University of Tennessee, wouldn't mind another one, which would be her 19th of this tournament. A full count to the Canadian second baseman. Leans into it. And it gets away from Alexis Papillo. It's been almost stunning. This Triple Crown Colorado team, one of their absolute strengths is what they do behind the pitcher. But they're having a rough go of it. And it'll be another double for Harshman. CeCe Wong grounded out, walked, scored on the 3-run shot by Pilgrim. And Canada with a chance to add to this 4-0 advantage. Ball and a strike to the pride of Port Coquitlam, CeCe Wong. Last night, it stood for Clutch Canadian. Does she have another one in her tonight? 4 seems like it's comfortable. Not against this group. The 2-1 pitch. Is it deep enough to score? She missed it again. It's going to score 2. Sometimes you have to see it to believe it. And that field is not in the sun. It's behind her. So I don't know if maybe the glare at home plate is not allowing her to pick it up off the bat. And it's an error this time, and Canada with 2 more. And it's 6-0. And Canada's best hitter in this tournament, she has 12. No other player in this tournament has 12 hits, is Larissa Franklin. A ball and a strike to Maple Ridge's own. Maybe not quite as famous as Larry Walker, but she's pretty good. And it gets away from Katie Stewart. And still nobody out. Is CeCe Wong able to move up 60 more feet? Canada with 6 runs on 6 hits. Triple Crown Colorado has committed 3 errors. High chopper. Franklin is safe, and so is CeCe Wong. It's 7-0. And Larissa has her 13th hit of the Canada Cup. And another run batted in. Well, here's Callum Pilgrim. She started the hitting parade on a 3-0 pitch in the last inning and hit a 3-run homer to open the scoring. And she had a good rip at the Pickens pitch. It is a stunner in Surrey. There's no other way to describe it. It's Canada trying to win the Canada Cup before they jump on a plane for Italy and the start of the World Cup. Pickens works ahead. No balls and 2 strikes to Callum Pilgrim with the biggest hit of this game. And are we going to get a change for Alexis Papillo in left? That's difficult. I feel for any player that has that difficult tonight. 2 misplayed balls in left, a huge reason for Canada striking 3 more times. And David King comes out to the circle, probably just trying to settle his whole team down. They're not used to this. And he's actually going to go out and chat with Alexis Papillo. Well, you don't see it done that way a lot, but that's good coaching. I'm sure went out to say I'm making a change. It's not really something I wanted to do, but went directly to her to pass the message along. So more changes. Reese Atwood's going to come in and catch. Katie Stewart's going to move from catcher to third, and I believe Sarah Gordon, who can play in a lot of places, is going to go from third base to left field. Canada 7 runs on 7 hits. 2 more tonight off the bat of Larissa Franklin, who in the tournament now is 13 for 25. Number 1 at the Canada Cup. And Pilgrim, after the change, facing an 0-2 pitch. And it finds a hole. Franklin, who has great speed. And this is Carlin Pickens that Canada is somewhat. She hasn't had a lot of help. But this is as hard a thrower as there is in the game. Maybe not named Miyagato of Japan. There is still no one out. With 3 more Canadian runs in, Pilgrim now 2 for 3. And a changeup from Pickens on Zoe Hicks, who has 2 hits. The rise misses up. And she took something off it, too. Well, we've seen some interesting things on this diamond today. It kind of started with the wild 8-7 consolation event win by New Zealand, who ended up losing to Chinese Taipei, who scored 3 in the bottom of the 7th in a game that a lot of odd things happened. Then Triple Crown Colorado just cruised against Mexico and won that game 10-0 in only 4 innings. And here's Canada in front of Triple Crown Colorado 7-0. Hicks, Pickens, Franklin in a rundown. And she does well to go back up the line because she took a peek to allow Callum Pilgrim to make her way to third. That is quality base running. Outside of maybe Larissa leaning a little more than she would have liked on the original ground ball back to the pitcher. So still runners at second and third, but now there is 1 out. It sounds greedy, and probably is, but no lead is safe against this opponent. You'll take every one you can get. It's the only other team in this tournament where even at 7, with 4 at-bats potentially left, you wouldn't really feel like it's home and cooled. They can put it on you in a hurry, but so can Canada. Mesmer, they're going to come home again. Somebody has to be out there. You can't both occupy it at once. And not sure if the instruction, it probably has to be to go on contact. So Kiana Jones takes a pitch for a strike with good movement. So Canada has been unable to score that 8th run. And Jones fouls it over the screen in behind home plate. One ball and one strike. 3 more Canadian runs in. And Pickens delivers a much-needed strikeout. So it could have been worse. 2 errors in the outfield, 1 at second base. Canada leads by 7.
Welcome to the 2024 Canada Cup, brought to you by the Canadian Amateur Sports Society. Our not-for-profit organization is dedicated to ensuring that every deserving child can fully enjoy multi-day sports camps without any limitations. Join us in making a difference. Sign up for these life-changing camps or become a sponsor today. Together, let's celebrate the unifying power of sport. Visit CanadaCup.com to learn more and support.
Well, the sun beaming in on the main diamond at Softball City, and so far it's been beaming in on Team Canada. They lead it shocking 7-0. But plenty of innings left for Triple Crown Colorado as they send now third baseman Katie Stewart to face Dawn Bodrug, who got out of a huge jam in the bottom of the third. So Canada has been very opportunistic, had a huge home run, and has benefited greatly from 3 Triple Crown Colorado errors. As Bodrug delivers a strike. Ball and a strike to Katie Stewart. She flew out to right fielder Kiana Jones in her only at-bat this evening. Popped in the air. Janet Leung has great range. So does Larissa Franklin. Some days it goes your way. It's not exactly the route that you always take. But Larissa Franklin, great speed, manages to make a fine catch. And now it's Ariana Roddy. And Bodrug, a first pitch strike. Great crowd for this title game. A send-off for Canada, regardless of how it ends up, who will leave for as big a tournament as you can play in this sport in the women's game. The World Cup starts July 15th in Italy. And a rare pitch since she's come in to get away a little bit from Bodrug. Morgan Rackle working again, the left-hander from Calgary. High in the air. And it stayed in play. The Canadians surrounded it, unable to catch it. And Ariana Roddy had a stellar year at the University of Charlotte with another crack. And here's the 2-2. Change up. She doesn't throw it a bunch. It's not a big strike zone back there tonight. And Roddy with a good swing to keep her at bat alive. One out, 7-0 Canadian lead, 4 in the third, 3 more in the fourth. On the ground, Harshman comes up with the hands, and there's 2 away. That ball was well hit. And Jackie Lease, who normally very sure-handed, unable to squeeze a ball at second herself tonight. As Dawn Bodrug continues to have herself an excellent Canada Cup. The 24-year-old from Georgetown who played collegiately at not a big school. She went to Stony Brook University. Jackie Lease struck out, facing Sarah Groenwagen in the second. Now the change, she's showing it a little bit more, trying to keep these great hitters off balance. And goes with what I think is her best pitch, the rise. Jackie Lease, an impressive 9 hits so far. Stepped on the bag. I need to see that again. So a ball and 2 strikes. Up and away to even the count. And there's another look at what turned into nothing more than a foul ball. Change up. Janet Leung in her back pocket. Canada is actually 3 outs away from winning the Canada Cup. They'll come to bat in the 5th. Canada, it's all going their way so far. And the difference that keyed all of it was a 3-run homer to break a scoreless deadlock by Abbotsford, BC's Callum Pilgrim on a 3-0 pitch. They added another. Cassidy Curd, the second pitcher to work tonight for Triple Crown Colorado, the star at Duke University, with an errant throw. And then 2 more outfield errors contributed significantly to Canada scoring 3 in the 4th. Here's Natalie Weidman, the veteran catcher from Mississauga. As Carlin Pickens set to work her second straight inning in relief. A mile high. And Katie Stewart calls her teammate here and University of Texas mate, catcher Reese Atwood, off. Good play to take charge. So 1 pitch and 1 out. Janet Leung reached on an error and scored one of the 3 Canadian runs in the last inning, and ouch. Now, what concerns you here is a couple of things, and she, I think, is okay. But Kaylee Rafter, you know she's going to check. With the World Cup upcoming, she does not want her shortstop, who was pulled earlier in the game for a pinch runner in somewhat of an interesting situation, I thought. But looks like she's going to be okay. When you get hit with 72 from about 35 feet when it leaves, it hurts. Kelsey Harshman is 2 for 3 with a couple of doubles, but not necessarily in the manner that she usually delivers them in. One, a bloop double back in the first, and then the other one scored a double that then left fielder Alexis Papillo just couldn't get a good read on. That looks more like Kelsey Harshman. Any way you slice or dice it, this woman is a professional hitter. And in the biggest game of the tournament, she has 3 hits. And 2 on again for the Canadians, with 1 out for CeCe Wong. Reached on an error, walked, grounded to second. Her grand slam last night in a 5-run Canadian 6th against this Triple Crown Colorado team is a night and a hit she won't forget for quite some time. So Harshman with 3 hits in the 9-hit Canadian attack. She hit .470 at Wichita State. Only one other player in the NCAA had a better batting average. I guess that's how you can be named Softball America's Most Improved Player. She didn't even play Division I the year before. She was at Grand Canyon College. And now she's in the number 2 hole in the Canadian lineup. And if Erica Polidori was still with them, she'd be in the 3 hole. Canada doing this weekend without Polidori, who was the best hitter in the round robin. She was 11 for 16. You couldn't get her out. And in my opinion, you're looking at the most valuable player of the Canada Cup, Larissa Franklin. Oakland comes home in time. Hard hit ball by Larissa Franklin, who has 2 more hits tonight and another RBI. She has 13 in the tournament, but the streak stops. And as a head coach, sometimes you will see things in certain athletes. I can describe this batter as one of those players. 18-year-old Jana Want from Stony Creek, Ontario, earlier this year was helping Canada's U18 team to take another step in the U18 qualifying process. She has 4 hits at this Canada Cup, coming off the bench, primarily. And she's going to board the plane for Italy. She made the 16-player roster and has done nothing but continue to show why Kaylee Rafter has great confidence in her. And she was not Canada's top hitter at that Pan Am qualifying scenario. And there's a good cut. And that's off of the SEC Pitcher of the Year, Carlin Pickens. That's what's impressed me. She doesn't look overwhelmed by the moment this week. Last year in this tournament, she played for Team Greece. That was close. But it's been a consistent strike zone all night. And that's really all you can ask for. 2-2, 2 out, bases loaded. And the count is full. Almost seemed from here like it hit her. But obviously it did not. So the runners will be in motion. Jess Oakland fires a dart to end the Canadian threat. So they load the bases, but can't score an 8th run. Triple Crown Colorado must score at least 1 to extend the game. We'll show you whether they can. Thank you so much for tuning in all week on both CanadaCup.com and on Softball Premier TV's YouTube channel. So didn't have time to get there, but it was interesting that Jana Want batted with the bases loaded for Callum Pilgrim, who delivered the biggest hit, a 3-run homer, and had another hit in the 4th inning. So Canada, if they can prevent Triple Crown Colorado from scoring in this inning, will win the Canada Cup 2024 edition. For Canadian sports fans, it is not Mario Lemieux in 1987 at hockey's version, but it would be pretty sweet for this group. And Bodrug, facing Sarah Gordon, falls behind. Gordon struck out to end the second against Sarah Groenwagen. And that is called a strike. The drop ball in the outer part of the plate. Bodrug has been terrific since replacing Sarah Groenwagen. Grace Mesmer, one away. On the top of the order, and always a difficult out. She has a hit tonight, was hit by a pitch. Katie, Texas. Kaylee Wickoff, a 400 hitter this year at Texas Tech for the Red Raiders. And Dawn Bodrug all week long has done that. She's gotten ahead with a high percentage of first pitch strikes. And now has 2. Canada 7 runs, 9 hits. Taken full advantage of 3 Triple Crown Colorado errors. Triple Crown Colorado to this point has 2 hits. And now 3. Kaylee Wickoff has 11 hits in the tournament now herself. Jess Oakland walked, popped out to first, has 5 home runs in the Canada Cup. One here would change the game. Canada does not want to play more than this inning. Change up. On the outside corner for a strike. If that pitch in her arsenal becomes something she can throw more often in hard spots, it's going to be a really large addition to what she brings. Because the velocity is more than good enough. Her location is good. Up and down, moves it well. Really starting to come into her own is Dawn Bodrug. Ball and 2 strikes to Jess Oakland. Struck her out. Wins the battle against one of the best hitters in college women's softball. The Big Ten Player of the Year at the University of Minnesota. And here's Cassidy Pickering. Here's something I didn't think I'd have to utter at this point. Triple Crown Colorado down to their last out. Wouldn't have thought that for either team, frankly, this early. And now they're down to their last strike. And let's see if she goes right back up there, out of the zone. Change up. Zoe Hicks steps on first. And in decisive fashion against this group of college all-stars known as Triple Crown Colorado, Canada wins it in 5 and captures the Canada Cup. Quite a performance as they cap off a perfect 8-0 week. They had a very easy round robin schedule. But they'll have to jump on that airplane tomorrow feeling pretty good about their chances in Italy. Don Bodrug, superb all week long. Canada holds Triple Crown Colorado to 3 hits. Callum Pilgrim, 3-run homer, was the decisive blow in a 4-run third inning. Take a break. Be back to watch them hand out the Canada Cup of softball in just a moment or so. Yeah, start there.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stick around. Our medal ceremony will begin shortly.
Well, a great look at all the highlights from this somewhat stunning 7-0 victory. There's what it's all about. The 2024 champions of the Canada Cup. It's been a few years since Canada even played in the title game of this great tournament. But this week they answered every bell and did not see a shortened game against a team like Triple Crown Colorado. As now we will present the medals, and we'll stay with you long enough to have them present the trophy. Dawn Bodrug was just terrific. And even Sarah Groenwagen, who got the start tonight, got herself out of a couple of jams, especially the one in the second with 2 big strikeouts. But as you saw in the highlights, a night for Callum Pilgrim, Larissa Franklin, to me, the MVP of the tournament. 2 more hits for the outstanding center fielder. And Canada finishes with a perfect 8-0 record. 5-0 in the round robin. 2 classic playoff games to advance to the championship final. 4-3 over Australia in 9 innings. That was arguably the best game of the whole tournament. Then the 5-run explosion, including CeCe Wong's grand slam home run last night to beat Triple Crown Colorado 6-3, and it was all Canada's night. Hit well, pitched very well, and it wasn't the best night for Triple Crown Colorado, who for the 3rd straight year make it to the final and just unable to win the Canada Cup. But without David King and the group of players that he brings every year, this tournament would not be what it is. And Canada waiting for the medals that they wanted to wear. Mexico started with a 9-1 loss to Canada, but boy, did they turn it on after that. Their big win, which allowed them to win the bronze medal here, was when they upended Australia, an Australia team off to the World Cup like Canada tomorrow, in a 5-2 win last night. Mexico, a little like Triple Crown Colorado. They just didn't have anything go their way, and they lost 10-0 in the semifinal in 4 earlier today. And Mexico has really started to revamp their lineup. They've done it with, as usual, U.S.-born players with Mexican heritage. And they will be heard from as Pan American Championships, World Cup qualifiers continue to be staged in years to come. They weren't in a qualifier last summer. Of the 18 teams, they didn't earn a spot in qualifying. I don't expect that to be the case after the next cycle. And I just want to give a special shout out to one of the best public address announcers in all of sports. Sebastian, congratulations. He does every game on this diamond, gives his time. We're lucky to have you too, Sebastian. He works at TVA, French television. It was nice to meet him this week. I've heard the voice. He's done public address for a lot of big events, including the 2010 Winter Olympics in Vancouver. So Canada win it tonight in impressive fashion. 7-0 in 5 innings. And now David King's fantastic collection of college all-stars. And while no members of this group will represent the United States at this year's World Cup, look for a number of these women to play in their own country in 2028 in the Olympics. You can almost book it. Jess Oakland, 5 home runs. Reese Atwood, who put up video game numbers with her 90 runs batted in at the University of Texas. And had to feel she hit the ball so well today. Alexis Papillo out of the University of Northern Iowa. And the rest of the Triple Crown Colorado. Remember the names. It won't be the last time you hear them. They're wearing red, white, and blue tonight. A lot of them are going to wear red, white, and blue with USA. Already have in younger categories in a few cases. Maddie Groff. 4 innings, was stellar for the first 2 in this game as they went right back to her until Callum Pilgrim on a 3-0 pitch was given the green light and drilled it over the left center field fence. That was the key blow. Carlin Pickens, the All-American pitcher at the University of Tennessee. The hardest thrower velocity-wise here. And Canada was able to even chip away at her tonight. Tegan Cavan, another stellar performer who helped Texas to the final of the College Women's World Series. Cassidy Curd, the star at Duke University, in her second straight Canada Cup. Congratulations. You were a pleasure to watch. Again.
Mr. Greg Tim will now present the medals to our gold medal winners, Team Canada. Chelsea Harshman.
3 hits for Canada's best hitter for the last number of years in world caliber competition. What a time to have 3 hits in the title game. C.C. Wong. maybe as important a hit as there was this week, the Grand Slam last night, as Canada came back in the winners bracket final to beat Triple Crown Colorado and Callum Pilgrim, who's a head coach at Lindsey Wilson College in Kentucky. A 3-run homer tonight in her home province. Lots of family on hand for Cloverdale's Grace Mesmer, who was superb at third base and chipped in offensively. Surrey's own Kiana Jones, who had a couple of really key hits in the playoff round. Then she's like glue. Natalie Weidman, Janet Leung, long-time starting shortstop. Sarah Groenwagen. Big hug for Roberto, who's become a staple here. Greg Tim used to coach the likes of Sarah Groenwagen on her path towards the Canadian national women's team. Katie Korstrom. Katie with a week to remember, the young pitcher from Abbotsford who has earned her way on Canada's national team that will compete in Italy. And she gave this team 3 excellent outings. Natasha Limbani, who looks like she has a chance to be the shortstop of the future. Dawn Bodrug. She was fabulous. Canada's best pitcher in this event, Dawn Bodrug. And Canada hope it's the start of another great performance for her. She'll be relied on heavily, as will Morgan Rackle, the 26-year-old Calgarian. And boy, did she turn up her game against Australia, and then last night in relief in the win over Triple Crown Colorado. Coaches Chris Jones, Joey Lai, and head coach Kaylee Rafter. Keith McIntosh, part of this coaching staff, his main role in Softball Canada is to coach Canada's under-18 team. And proud in another way, because he and Dean Holine, who run an amazing twos softball program out of Saskatoon, they assembled a team late, the 12th team into the tournament. And they were 3 outs away, the Saskatchewan 222s, from beating Australia and made the playoffs. So a proud time for Keith McIntosh, one of the great people in the sport. And there's Keith getting his gold medal. And if there is an MVP, and if memory serves me correctly, there is. To me, it's a 2-player competition. Dawn Bodrug and Larissa Franklin. Let's listen in.
We would now like to present the MVP awards. Starting with the Lori Sippel Award for the top pitcher. Prize will be presented by Miss Laura Balance.
Lori Sippel was great in her day.
The best pitcher has carried an
that, I'm more than old enough and familiar enough.
Strikeouts, no walks. Opposite batting average of 162 from Team Canada, Morgan Rackle.
Well, that was a tough decision. Had to have come down to Rackle and Don Bodrug.
The Susie Brasney Award for top catcher will be presented by Miss Susie Brasney herself, a longtime player and honored guest at the Canada Cup. 39 innings caught, the most of all catchers. A 353 batting average, a 1,000 fielding average, 47 putouts, and 0 passed balls. From Team Mexico, Alejandra Casas.
Alejandra Casas had a couple of big playoff home runs, including one that put the game last night that allowed Mexico to win the bronze medal away in a 5-2 win over Australia.
The Top Batter Award will be presented by Mr. Roberto Perez Leon, Director. She maintained a .625 batting average, a 1.542 OPS, on-base percentage, and slugging, 10 hits, 2 doubles, 1 triple. From Team Australia, Stacey McManus.
So Stacey McManus, top hitter. And she had a great week. The 35-year-old veteran of Team Australia.
Award for Best Defensive Player will be presented by Mr. Greg Tim, Chairman. She had a 1,000 fielding average, no errors, 14 assists, and started 1 double play. The Best Defensive Player from Team Canada, Grace Messner.
She was superb at third all week long. And I've got to believe this is Larissa Franklin. Maybe not.
She has hit 5 home runs and 12 RBIs.
It's Jess Oakland.
From TC, Colorado, Jess Oakland.
Well, Jess had a marvelous week. Five home runs, 12 runs batted in. And she is named the tournament MVP. But the trophy that matters the most is about to be handed out.
2024 medalists and MVP winners. We would now like to ask the captain of Team Canada to come forward as Mr. Greg Tim presents the Canada Cup Women's International Softball Championship Trophy.
And a beauty it is. The Canada Cup trophy handed to head coach, former great national team catcher, Kaylee Rafter. Gather in, young women. It's okay to touch it. It's not the Stanley Cup. And it's not going to prevent you from winning the World Cup.
Remember the dates, July 4th to 13th, 9, 2025. The women's competition will begin on July 7th. On behalf of the whole Canada Cup team, this is Sébastien Goulet. Thank you for being with us over the past 10 days.
Canada, the champions of the Canada Cup. For Luciano, Carol DeReste, the entire softball premier team, the incredible volunteers that work so diligently, the great performances by terrific women athletes that we watched for the last 7 days. Thank you. Canada win the Canada Cup. So long. See you next year. From Softball City.
For the latest in softball innovation, the website where you can experience the best tournaments in the Americas. Live games, news, tournaments, and much, much more. The best quality live softball, on demand so you can watch when you want. Become a Premier member now. SoftballPremierTV.com. Live it on Softball Premier.